the plane so awesome, everybody wants to see it. But I don't think that's the real reason. I think it's a genuine security problem.
John Heilman, a Danish reporter, fell to the Danes today to deal with the issue of self-respect and how leaders do what Ambassador McFaul just addressed, sort of lower the bar and then take the wins where they can get them. Let me show you what that sounded like.
Mark, you sit next to Donald Trump in moments where he talks about conquering Greenland, talks about lashing out at allies like Spain, starting trade wars, things that it doesn't seem like the old Mark Rutte would approve of. Does this have any effect on your self-respect when you sit next to him like that and say nothing?
You know, what I always do is acknowledge when praise is due, and I think we should praise Donald Trump for the fact that NATO is so much stronger.
I remember pointing out once in 2017 that we're going to get to the point where Republicans on Capitol Hill will just clap for him when he zips his fly. Like that the bar is so low that when his parts aren't hanging out, the GOP, all the guys that used to care about balanced budgets and character would just be happy that he had his belt and his fly up. That's where we are on the world stage now. It's appalling.
Well, I'd say, Nicolle, if he keeps his fly up and his pants on, that's at this point merits a standing ovation. Not merely. I mean, I'll give the guy a round of applause if that happens. I mean, because the alternative
me too.
is
Every
too
woman in America is saying "me too" right now. Yes.
Yeah, seriously. I also just want to ask about that previous clip, like the whole 5.2% thing. Does anybody understand that? I mean, I understand he's saying that American presidents are targets of security threats and potential assassinations, but the numbers that he was spouting there, I have no idea what those correspond to or what they mean. It was a complete gibberish, as far as I can tell. I mean, I'm asking the panel, like, does anybody understand what he's saying?
My guess, and again, this is my own sickness of trying to figure out what he's trying to say, and it's because I have a toddler, actually, who just went through this. But I think what he's trying to say is that the odds of making it, maybe, if you're president, are, well, I don't know. I don't know what he's trying to say. Ambassador McFaul, you want to take a stab at it?
I mean,
well, my guess is he's talking about the number of assassins.
Right.
The number of assassinated presidents is probably 5% of all presidents. That's my guess. The live TV doing math. But you're underscoring something I just think it's important we keep focusing on. He just says things all over the time, all the time. We don't know if they're true or not. Another one off the top of my head, he said $19.2 trillion are being invested this year in the United States. And I went to try to verify that claim. I found no evidence to verify that claim. And that just happens every single time he's giving a press conference. But the other thing I wanted to get back to, Rachel, is that you said also, he says things, whether they're true or not, whether they're policy or not. It used to be that a president said something and it was policy, but you never know if it's true or not. And sometimes that's when he says things that I think are not in America's national interest. So cutting off all trade and contact with Spain, that is not in America's national security interests or national economic interests. And when he says it, somebody should be refuting it. That we just listen to it and it's like, okay, this is the new policy. But then the other part is equally true. So he said something encouraging today, from my point of view. He said that he's decided that we should give a license to do joint production to make Patriot interceptors with the Ukrainians. That's fantastic if it's true. That's for the long term, right? They need Patriot interceptors today. But is it going to be policy? Did anybody ask Lockheed Martin if they signed up for this? Have any of the details been worked out about it? And so even when there's good news, you don't even know if it's true.
Well, and I think the other thing is when you have news, sometimes it gets buried in the insanity. This is real news. Here's where Donald Trump thinks Iran's nuclear material is. Let me play this for you, Tom Nichols.
You said that dealing with the Iranians is a waste of time. How do you plan to get the nuclear material and the nuclear assurances that you want?
Well, we've already got the nuclear material because it's so far underground, nobody's going to be able to get it except us because we have the equipment that can get it. But I call it the nuclear dust. The nuclear material is so far down underneath the mountain, and now that's been determined, that it would take massive machinery that we have that no other country has.
Mr.
They can't
President,
get
so
it.
you have no plans to go in, boots on the ground?
Why would I go in now? I'd go in when they're completely either eliminated or whatever happened, or an agreement's made.
I mean, Tom Nichols, it's underground because that's where they're hiding it. It's not underground. And I mean, I knew it was going to catch up with us that he doesn't like intelligence, that he doesn't consume a PDB, but it's not underground because it got lost there. It's underground because that's where they hid it in anticipation of strikes.
Well, I'm sure he means that some of it is buried, but you can tell that when a question stresses him out because he starts making stuff up and his hands start going and pretty soon he loses the bubble. I think what you saw in that answer is that when something has gone wrong, Trump changes the terms of the question. So he started off with, we want unconditional surrender, I call it the nuclear dust, all of the nuclear dust, all of the materials. And then when he can't get that, he says, oh no, problem solved. We didn't need it anyway. Like he's done with regime change. Well, I was never interested in regime change. Well, you're pretty interested in it the night you started the war and you told the Iranians that they were going to take their government back. But that's a very Trump approach to simply wave away things. And to go back to Mike's point, it makes policy and communicating policy and formulating policy impossible because the president doesn't live on the same planet as everybody else, says whatever gets him through the next 10 seconds of his day to try to dominate the point or evade the questioner. And so, the rest of the world, the country, everybody else has to deal with this shifting kaleidoscope of unreal assumptions. Well, it's underground. We don't need it anyway. I was never interested in regime change. The Iranians are great people, except now they're scum, and so on. And it just goes on and on and on because it's all only about Donald Trump trying to compensate for constantly being humiliated in public. And everybody else just simply has to deal with it and work around it. And again, it's like having that, that relative in the middle of the room and, everybody kind of looking away and trying not to say anything that's going to, you saw that with Mark Rutte. It's like, well, we just sort of, try not to set him off. We give him grace. He didn't blow anything up, so it was another good day for NATO. But I think that's what you saw in that answer. He has no idea. And you're right, he's unbriefable. He doesn't read intelligence. He doesn't care about it. He just wants, it's very childlike. He wants the world to conform to what he wants it to be. And this war is really, I think, the first time where circumstances have pushed back and made it impossible for him to simply wish what he wants into existence.
Yeah, he's met an enemy in Iran that he can't defeat. He has a consequence that he can't sell to his base, which has bought absolutely everything else from Access Hollywood to tariffs to just about everything else. And we're left, I have to just pull the curtain back, we're left as a press corps covering things that are nonsensical, but because it matters what he says and because other world leaders bend around the craziest person in the room, especially when that person is the American president, they go back to their countries and their populations and they have to deal with what happens. So thank you for letting us just show you instead of telling you what happened. There's actually more. Everyone sticks around. Also ahead for us, it's been described as must win. That's the Senate race in Maine. It is